Hello and welcome to another episode of Little Acorns to Mighty Oaks. In case you're new here, I am your host, Mama Nix, mother to many little acorns. And so, if this is your first time here, you're new here, just familiarize yourself. Go watch some videos. And subscribe, because there's always going to be more content. Right, so we are currently in a series of exploring and discussing the importance of habits. So the first video was on the habits, our waking habits, our morning routine, and this is the second video in the series, and this is going to be on the importance of meal times. Like, not just like it's important to eat, but it's important what you do during these times. So we just sometimes we can just fling food together and we just sit down and eat, and or just like we're going to eat in front of the TV, or you can grab this food here and I'll grab this food here. But today we are discussing the importance of sitting down, slowing down, and just spending time as a family, congregating, whether it be around the table, whether it be in front of the fireplace, which would be so beautiful. I mean, I don't have that yet, but congregating around the fireplace, whether it be congregating on the sofa in the front room, whatever, picnic, like whatever it is, just the importance of sitting down, slowing down, and spending intentional time together as a family at a mealtime. So we're gonna go over this. Like we're just gonna go. We're gonna go. All right, first thing is, not sure if everyone ever heard about Barna. Barna does a lot of research and into specifically the research that I've only ever heard of is about the effects of, like, he wants to find out about what happens in Christian families, what makes a successful Christian family. And in this part of the research, it said successful Christian families, those that had fire, had zeal, had energy and stuff like that, still, like, even with their children, they grew up and left home, they still had that fire, that they still had faith and they still believed. One of the most important factors was the fact that they had a thriving, energetic mealtime. Like, the family sat together and spoke at the table. That's where a lot of the stuff was learned and consolidated and stuff at the table. And also, not just meal times together, but also having meal times where hospitality was involved. So inviting friends and neighbors or the stranger and having an open house, within reason, obviously, safely. But these were really important factors in terms of making sure that they were spiritually strong as adults. Also, what I want us to start thinking about, which I don't think I touched on in the last video, was the importance of looking at whatever it is that you're doing. This week is going to be meal times, specifically looking at the meal times through a spiritual lens, and then like your regular everyday lens. So there'll be two different ways to look at your meal times, and then you can go back and look over last week's video on waking times, and you can look at it with the same two lenses. Our routines become monotonous and mundane and bleh, for a lack of a better word, because we do them all the time. And because we do them all the time, we don't see the importance or the value in them. But what we don't understand is that this is where spiritual formation actually happens, because our values, the thing that we actually value, are the things that we do in our day. So, for example, if health is really important to you, then we'll see that. You'll see you might walk more, or you emphasize making sure the children are out doing sports, or that you have healthy meals. So you'll see the importance of the health, like you'll see it in your everyday life. And if you find, I don't know, relationships really important, then you'll see that you interact more with people. You might make a lot of phone calls, send a lot of messages, have a lot of people come around and visitations, and open your home. So you'll see these different things. And so our values are literally bottled up into our everyday things of our home, that we do every day, our habits every day. We know that meal times would just be really easy if we just literally just put children in front of a TV with their food, and we didn't take loads and loads of time to cook the food. You just had something that you could quickly warm up and give to them. It's not necessarily nutritious or delicious, but we just need to get the thing done. We're not talking about practicality here. We're not talking about just having food. We're talking about having intentional time here. And so we know that when someone takes the time to cook, it's not just food that just came on the table. They had to coordinate everything. They had to get the shopping. They had to figure out what we were going to eat, then get the shopping in, then put it together. Like, think about logistically how I'm going to do that throughout the day. Do I start from the morning? Did I start in last night? Did you know, whatever. So to make the meal actually happen, there's a lot that happens before the meal anyway. And then you have the actual meal. And we know that with children, meal times can just be, they can range from everything from amazing to like, I can't wait until this is over. Like, why did I even think about trying to do this? And so um, that's with a practical lens. With a practical lens, it'll just be easy to just sit them down with something, anything, especially like something that you know they're going to eat, chips, beans, potato, I don't know, whatever, something easy. But when we're trying to curate intentional meal times, it takes a little bit more. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but we want delicious and nutritious. And then we want to sit down as a family. And that could take a long time because, as you can tell, well, in our home, there's a lot of us. And so someone might need to go to the toilet, and then somebody else is getting a drink of water. And then somebody else is sitting at the table. Then somebody else has thrown their fork on the floor. And then somebody else has gone there. And so by the time we get everybody together, it's just, sometimes it could just be a lot. But it's worth it in the end. So we're going to talk about the practical, well, we've spoken about the practical lens, and that seems like it would just be easier if we just didn't try to have family time. But talking through a spiritual lens now, we're going to go into that. So generally, when we have a meal time, we try and have at least one meal all together. So breakfast time, generally I'll be with the children, but when it comes to dinner time, Daddy's home. So we'll all sit around the table once everyone's finally finished doing all the whatever, and we congregate, we get around the table, we pray together, we serve the food, and we also and we talk. And then after we finish talking, everyone's excused from the table, and then we do our chores. Now that seems really simple, and it seems like, you know, that happens every day, and it seems like, oh, you know, it just flows. And it's not like that every day. Like, I mean, it can be really crazy sometimes just getting everyone to the table, getting the food to the table. I want the food to be warm. I don't want it to be warm. I want it to be hot, so that when everyone finally gets there, like, everyone can eat the food. But sometimes, you know, you've got this one going to the toilet, and then this one's crying because someone poked their eye, and this one flicked their fork on the floor, and then a phone call from work and all that kind of stuff. And it just can just be really long sometimes. So, but what happens is, what we've noticed that in this routine, in this process, a lot of other things happen. So for one, with the prayers, it's no longer, we're not centering ourselves, that it's not centered on ourselves. We're thanking God, first of all. We're also learning, so the children are also learning how to pray and how to be grateful and how to be thankful. So that's one thing that they're learning through the spiritual lens. Also through the spiritual lens, we have when we serve the food, we try to serve each other. So I'm not just serving myself, I'll try and serve somebody else. And we also get the children involved in serving each other, so they're learning to serve. And downside to that is we get a lot of spillage. And so within this mealtime, we're learning grace as well. So like, I'm learning to be more graceful. It's okay, dear. Let's clean it up. And not me trying to clean it up, but them learning that when there's a mess that happens, it's okay to make mistakes, and we can clean it up and we can learn from the mistake. So it's me learning to give them grace, or us learning to give each other grace, because sometimes the food doesn't quite get on the other brother's plate or the sister's plate, and so they have to learn to give grace as well. That's another thing, learning through spiritual eyes. Then we have conversation, and through the conversation we're engaging with each other and we're learning what each other values. We can also, this is the time when we can make things very, very intentional. Our conversation is very intentional. So the things that we value as a family, or we want to value as a family, these are the times when it's like, it's not school. It's not like school, like you have to learn it, but it's caught through the conversations, through our storytelling, like how we got through this day, how we got through this issue, how we got, you know, something that the phone call that we got. We're learning, we're teaching the values to the children it's almost subtle, and they don't necessarily always know that they're learning, but it's a way in which to teach them what we actually value and what we want to hold on to as a family. We also have to be patient. So sometimes we have to wait. We're waiting for the other person to serve us. We have to wait for the other person to finish talking. Sometimes, if someone disappears, we have to wait for them to come back. They also have to wait to be dismissed from the table. So they're just learning patience, the art of patience, and also stickability, because sometimes it can just be really, really long, isn't it? Waiting for something, but we're going to finish this. We're going to get this done. We're going to finish it to the end. This meal is not going to end with me saying, "Oh, everyone just go away," or anything like that. No, we're going to finish this meal. Then we have cleanup at the end, which is emphasizes teamwork and the body, like working together and unity. Everybody has their part to play. Everyone does their part, and a lot of the time we're in the kitchen together, which also helps so you don't feel so lonely. So looking at a mealtime through spiritual eyes rather than practical eyes, you can see the difference of how important a mealtime can be, because in that time, it's time that you are able to literally infuse values and also connect with your family, because when you're talking about your day, the children are talking about their day. You learn about the things that they like, the things that they didn't like, any negatives, any positives, and in this time you have intentional conversations, so you can start your own traditions over the mealtime. One thing to remember, that even though it might seem very, very hard and not very practical to have these family meals, like the importance of them, like the Barna research says that messy tables and busy tables, loud tables bustling with family and conversation, are what created adults that were strong and resilient in their faith. And so what we need to understand is that it's not these holy moments. It is woven, spiritual moments, spiritual formation is woven into the fabric of our everyday. It's in the habits, it's in our routine, it's in the rhythm. That is where the success is. Success is in the routine. So if we're not seeing the success that we want, it's time to change the routine. And another thing we need to remember is that God is in it. He's in the mess. He's in the messy moments. He's in the messy kitchen. He's in the messy prayers. And we might think, oh, we need to get it all perfect, but God is in these moments. These are teachable moments for us and for our children. Lots and lots of grace. Lots and lots of grace is needed, but God is in it. So here are some tips to help us make our meal times more intentional and more successful. First of all, is to remember the spiritual versus the practical lens. So the practical lens will say, don't do it, it's too hard, it doesn't make any sense, just stop fighting, it's a losing battle. But the spiritual lens will say, there's more behind this, keep pushing, keep fighting, keep doing what you're doing. Two will be to pick a mealtime. Don't start with every single mealtime, just pick a mealtime. Pick one day a week if it's going to be even easier. Just pick one mealtime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Pick Sunday dinner, pick Saturday dinner, pick Monday dinner, whatever, breakfast, lunch, whatever it is. Pick one day and pick one meal, and then just go for it and just be consistent on that day. Number 3 would be no devices at the table. So no devices at the table. No phone, no tablet, no TV, no nothing. It's just you, the family, meaningful conversation, amazing food. Maybe not so amazing food, but it doesn't matter. It's just quality time with the family, connecting, conversing, and being, again, consistent. Right. Number 4 would be to have some kind of game or something that you do that is that's just special. So you can have some kind of conversation games where you can talk about the high or the low point of your day. We do that a lot of the time. We speak about the one thing, the best thing of the week, and the worst thing of the week, and also what we want to do, something positive that we want to do for next week. So you might talk about the highs, the lows, good, bad, something amazing that you learned, something funny that you learned. Just sharing as a family. So conversation starters. They've got loads of conversation starters online, so you don't have to rack your brain trying to think of what do I do, what do I speak about. It's practically done for you. It's not. Number 6 is also important to us as parents, but it makes a lot of the difference to the children. It's about narrating our day. when we can speak about our day and frame it in a positive way, even the negative things, what we learned from the negative thing that happened, it teaches them also to be able to narrate their day. But this is where our values and the things that truly matter to us are able to come out, but we're speaking about them, and the children love to listen to our stories. So it's really, really important that we learn to narrate our day. Number 7, which is hospitality. So opening your home and your mealtime to other people, whether that be aunties, uncles, your village. It might be, I don't know, you have an open house, which is something that we do generally on a Friday. Just be hospitable, invite people in to your home. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just being hospitable means that when people come into your home, they feel cared for, and they feel like, I'm supposed to be here. They don't feel like I need to go, like I need to get out of here now, I'm not welcome. So do your best to have an open house, have an open table, and include other people in, because we want to teach our children hospitality, how to serve, how to make others feel appreciated and accepted and loved. And we also teaching them about service and selflessness, not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less. There you go. Yeah, got it right. Right, so those are my tips, and that's the importance of meal times. I hope and pray that this was a really, really, really helpful video for you. I mean, it was helpful for me, so I'm sure it's going to be helpful for you. And I hope that you all have an amazing week implementing mealtime, some kind of mealtime, one mealtime. And like I said in the last video, don't try and do them all. Start small, start one, be consistent. Pick a mealtime and just go for it. Like, start your own family traditions. You can light candles, you can have conversations, you can play a game. There's so many different things that you can do, but you're your own family and you have your own journey, and you can make it whatever you want it to be. I'm about to go make our lunch because this is where spiritual formation happens.